Good day, good day. Welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Your Kids podcast. Before we get started, make sure you check out homeschoolyourkidsexpo.com. Check out our many resources that are available and the schedule for next year, 2026, our traveling season. And remember, homeschooling was never meant to be done alone. It takes a village. So major shout out to a couple of our sponsors that are mission to ensure that you find your tribe. Classical Conversation is a nationwide curriculum provider. They also offer community support. Check them out. And Base Camp is an amazing new free app, free to download, and it is like community driven. So you can find people who are close families that are close to you who have children the same age as you, or you can find different community resources that are located next to you. It's pretty cool. It's like a Zillow, but for like families. So check them out also. And today we have with us Leigh. Leigh, introduce yourself.
My name is Leigh Ramsey, and I am the director of Rankin Performing Arts. We are a performing arts ministry in Brandon, Mississippi.
Brandon, Mississippi. I'm still in Mississippi, by the way. Look, we still have not quite made our way out. We came and it's like, but also expo. I would love to learn more about all that you do and why you do what you do. So to take us on the journey to how we got to Rankin Performing Arts.
Well, in college, I was a theater arts minor. I had found out in high school how much I loved um, theater, and I started doing some plays and things like that. And my drama teacher told me that she saw something in me, saw some gifts, abilities, talents, and to me, that was almost the first time somebody had really said that to me, and I wanted to be that for other people, for other children. And even when I was in college, a freshman in college, I um, started teaching children theater, and I just fell in love with it. And so I got my degree and took a little break. The atmosphere in performing arts can be unhealthy at times. And so I took a little break. And then, as I saw some gifts and desires in my own children, I decided that I wanted to help them find a healthy atmosphere. And we did have a season with a community theater that was pretty good. And then I was volunteering there and just spent a lot of time praying that it would become a paying job, because it does require quite a bit of time and effort. And I had a job, a small job on the side, just to try to pay for some of the kids' lessons. We homeschooled, so 5 children. So to pay for their lessons or to pay for trips or things like that, I had always had a small job on the side. And I said, wouldn't it be great if the job and the volunteerism would be able to be combined? And after quite a bit of time praying for that, then a job came up, and over time, I became the director of that program. So,
Nice. Okay, so let's back up and talk about homeschooling for a little bit. So you
okay,
homeschool
yes.
five kids. What led you to do that?
So when my children were younger, it's I've been thinking about that a lot. It was a long process of number one, just wanting to be the one pouring into them, and also going, I was teaching at a preschool when my oldest and my second born, I have 4 boys and a girl. My oldest son and my second born were going to preschool, and I started training, and they would teach us learn through play. It was a curriculum called We Learn. And um, it just taught the way it taught my children were thriving. And I was like, why couldn't that be applied to their entire education where they're having a more hands on education? And I wanted that for them. I saw them thrive in that atmosphere. And I didn't understand why it had to immediately switch to mostly worksheets and things like that. And even my oldest went to school through half of his fifth grade year, and my second oldest went to they started in a public school and then went to a magnet school, and they did that. I guess my second oldest would have been halfway through his third grade year. And then we moved to Mississippi. And my husband, I had been saying, I just want to homeschool. I just want to homeschool. And he said, this is a chance to give it a shot because we're not going to live in Mississippi very long. And so we put them in a homeschool program, and we also did most of their teaching at home with a co-op to support us. And then we just saw that they were thriving, and here we are, not leaving Mississippi quickly. We, like you, no, we've been here
Still
14
here.
years.
Gotcha.
We've been here 14 years. We love it here. And we also just saw that our children were thriving. They were able to really dive deep into things that they were naturally drawn to. And we were able to put their education on their personal pace. They weren't being left behind on things that they weren't understanding, and they weren't having to sit and spend a lot of time on stuff that they just naturally were gifted at. We could move right past it. So we just saw that they were thriving, and we've been with it. And now we have our youngest is 17, and he's going into his senior year. So it's been a journey.
How do you feel? Yes, how do you feel about that? Like, come to the end of the road, so to speak, but you still have your performing arts, but end of the road as far as homeschooling.
Yes, it is obviously there's some sadness to it, but as they have learned, he really has most of his credits. He already knows what he wants to do after he graduates. It has a job. He's learning a ton of stuff just by working at a job, and so it's been a slow transition to where I really only teach him about two things myself now. And so that's been nice to have a little bit of a slower transition out of it. So it wasn't quite so shocking, but it's going to be sad. And I did realize this year I will have it's going to be my first year where I'm home by myself while he's at work. And my other kids are all out of the house or at work for their own jobs. So I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that. It's going to be a very quiet house, and I've
Empty
never had a quiet
nester.
house.
Yeah.
So that'll be
Oh
a
my
little.
goodness. So I'm sure. How was it? Because you say you put it, yeah, when you started, you put them in a homeschool program, and you also were a part of a co-op. How did you find these resources so quickly?
I started reaching out when we knew we were going to move to Mississippi, and
Mm.
had no idea that this area is just flourishing with tons of co-ops. And we started with one group, and we've always really just gone the co-op route. We love the community that comes with that. We love the freedom that is where we can pick and choose which classes we want them to be a part of and which ones we want to do at home. I've always loved doing science and history with my kids at home. And those I found for us personally, those were classes that we could do through, we had kids every other age. So it was they were 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 or something like that. And with history and science, I learned that they could all learn the same thing at the same time, but we could kind of tweak the work that they would do afterwards to show that they had learned what we talked about. So those two, I tend to keep at home unless we're getting up into chemistry and things like that, which is not my gifting. Yeah, so we found those just by asking around, really, and finding the first semester was a little bit lonely, a little bit scary. Didn't really know if I could do this. And I definitely tried to create a school atmosphere because that's all I knew to do. And it was terrible. And so I would have a table and a little chalkboard and a little pointer stick and all that. And it
Oh, wow. Not the
did
pointer
not
stick.
work. And my friend said, stop trying to make homeschool look like school. It doesn't look anything like school. And I just was so scared that I was going to mess up and they were going to get behind. And then as friends became mentors and walked me through that and told me I was making it harder than it had to be and I was stressing out more than I had to. They really just helped me grow in confidence and then led me to some of the co-ops that we've been a part of.
Nice, nice, nice. I know that that first couple years is like, how do I find the flow? Because, like, what am I supposed to be doing? I mean, how, okay, so how was the reception from like in-laws, from your parents? Because I'm assuming you're first generation homeschoolers. So how was the reception from your immediate family?
Um, I felt like we were confident enough in what we were deciding that I don't think really, if they questioned it, they didn't verbalize it much. Um, I think at first there might have been a little bit of doubt. I might have picked up on that, but we didn't really hear a lot. Nobody really shared too much of their opinions with us, but I think it was more of we didn't really ask. We just knew what we were feeling led to do, and so we said, "This is what we're doing." And I think over time, as they started seeing the results, then it was, oh, this was a great decision, you know. So um, if they had any doubts or reservations, they didn't share them with us. Not that
Kept
I
it to themselves. That's
remember.
beautiful.
Yes.
Yes, no, that's nice. That is very considerate.
Yes.
Because you know, those opinions be opinion and it's like, wait a minute, I didn't ask you. But so I always wonder how, you know, how it was received.
For
So that's
sure.
cool. So y'all found your group. You did 5 kids. That is beautiful. During the time that y'all were homeschooling, did they ever like say, all right, I want to go to high school or I want to go, you know, I want to go to middle school, or did you have those conversations?
Yes. A lot. Especially with my ones who had been in school. um, they
Okay.
they had experienced school and there were some things they knew they were missing and we're not going to recreate the school atmosphere totally. So that's just part of it. And I felt it felt very I think eye-opening to my oldest son. He was invited to join this local private school, and he was considering it. And I said, because he had been so adamant that he wanted to try school again, I said, I'm going to go with you and we're going to check out this space and we're going to listen to what they have to say. But ultimately, this will not be your decision. This will be our decision. And so we went with him and we heard the teachers out and we listened to everything they had to say. They were kind of recruiting him. And he was hearing the things that he was going to have to do, and he was like, "Wait a minute, they want me to take trigonometry, and I just want to be a worship pastor. I don't know why I need trigonometry." And he was not happy about that. And then he started hearing um, that he would um, he would have to spend all of these hours in school when normally he would spend a shorter amount of time in school, and then he would go and visit mentors that were training him up into the career he wanted or that were discipling him, and he knew he was going to have to start missing out on those because he would be in school and then have to come home and do homework and of course any activities he chose to be a part of. And so he started thinking about what his days and his weeks would look like. And he was like, I don't really know if I want to do this. And then I think the thing that drove it home for us was when one of the teachers said, oh, this school is great. And if we didn't homeschool, we would go here. We would send our kids here. And he said, wait a minute, the teacher homeschools. And so he said, never mind, I'm going to stick with homeschooling. So yeah, that was very
It's
helpful.
not that great, huh?
Right?
That is helpful. That's funny. Like, oh, what?
Yes.
Like, wait a minute. No, this is an amazing school. Like, my kids aren't here, but it's
Right.
a beautiful school.
Yeah.
Well, that is awesome. I'm glad you gave it a try and you let him see for himself first and foremost. Like, because like, I always wonder about those conversations. I know my oldest used to talk about going to high school all the time. She's only 11, but she used to talk about going to high school and it's like, oh, because I want to be, the cool girl and I want to have a crew and I'm going to go to prom. And I'm like, first of all, not watching TV. First thing first,
Right.
watch TV. Second, we can have you a prom, love. Like when it comes
Mhm.
that time, like we can have all the dances you want to. If you want to have three proms in 1 year, we can have all of them. Okay,
Right.
so please don't think that that's why you need to go to school. She ain't say nothing about academics. She ain't say nothing about anything that actually needed to happen in the building. And so
Right.
it has since died out as far as that conversation goes. So I'm happy about that because they I think they're told so much with us doing the expos of how nice it is for what they're doing as far as the traveling and getting to see
Mhm.
new places and like especially from the adults that everyone's like, oh, I wish I could be doing this or I wish and I think they've heard that so many times over that they're like, yeah, I think we're gonna stick to this. My youngest is always like, girl, school starts too early. Like I'm not trying to go because they did one
Right.
summer camp and she was just like, oh no, this isn't it. This isn't like the camp started at like 8:30 and she's just like, oh no, oh no. Not trying to be woke up. And then when she wakes up, she wants to eat immediately. So it's like, her program's off. She doesn't like that. So
Right.
I always wonder about the conversation stuff. Because I know, it may venture back around. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then parents have that. Like they have that, especially high school. It's always those high school talks where it's like, oh, I just want to go and check it out, or I just want to see, or my friend, I have other friends, and
Mhm.
so
Yeah, it was very nice that I didn't really I knew that we really weren't feeling led in that direction, but I wanted him to at least have a say. I wanted him to know he had a voice in this, but ultimately it took care of itself. So we didn't have to, you know, make the decision for him. He made it for himself. So that was kind of nice.
nice. Outside of the co-ops and the homeschool communities that you were a part of, or the homeschool groups,
Mhm.
did y'all do any kind of particular curriculum that you felt was really good or didn't work too well? Like, did you go through a lot of curriculum?
We did. So we would learn the learning style of our children, and that would lead us to different types of curriculum. I think my second oldest may have tried about 4 or 5 algebra curriculums. We just had a very hard
Really?
time finding one that would work for him, and ultimately just told him, right now it doesn't appear that you were wired in such a way that you're going to be a math expert, and that's okay because obviously he had obvious signs of being gifted in other areas. So it's okay to not be a math expert. What we're going to work on is instead, your test in algebra is work ethic and character because you still need to
Right.
do hard things. You need to know you can do hard things. And so that was more of what we decided. You're still going to do it, but our goal is not to perfect, to become a great mathematician because it's really just not the way you were wired. But we are going to, work on work ethic. So that's just how we had to have a mind shift. But we did lots of different, everything from Saxon to Matthew C, just a ton of different curriculums for him for math. We usually did apologia science. When we first started out with the younger kids, we loved the Bob Jones curriculum. So, I mean, we've been all over the map, and whatever the homeschool co-ops were doing or what their friends were doing so they could study together. We're doing some knot grass right now to get them through world history, get my youngest through world history. And they're just doing that where we meet in our living room. He's doing that with a friend. So um I can't say we ever settled on one curriculum. We've probably tried them all.
Right. Nice. And finding what works for you is a lot. It can be expensive, I know. That's what I look, that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
Yes.
But parents be looking for it so early on. At least you were talking about algebra and things of that nature. But I hear parents, 3, 4, 5-year-olds that are looking for a curriculum, and I'm like, oh, that's a little early.
Yeah, we didn't do that. We played games, and it was funny, with my older students, my older kids, they when they were learning things, my younger would walk up and start saying he would grab little magnetic numbers off the refrigerator and he'd say 3 plus 2 is 5, and he was like 3 years old, and I was like, he's just grabbing it just from being in the room. And so that was really cool to watch that too. And so just being in the space, those younger ones are going to pick up if you're already teaching older ones, but at the same time, um those little ones, they're sponges. They're learning just through living life and going to the park and things like that. They're learning constantly. So yes, we didn't really focus too much on curriculum for those younger ones. So yeah,
Nice.
it,
Well, I mean, like you've made it through. You've made it through. You're down to the last baby,
yes,
and he has already excelled and finished everything he needs to do. He's just got like a little bonus year now to really pan it out, I guess. And so
yeah.
kudos to you and the family.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Of
He's,
course.
he's getting us credit. He doesn't really plan to go to college. He wants to go straight into real estate. He's waiting for that birthday so he can go into real estate. I was like, hey, if that's what you feel led to do, you go for it. So
Indeed, indeed. And they be so gung-ho on what they're gonna do. And that's I feel like that's what homeschool affords the most is like really being able to tap into your interests as a young person and being able to figure you out. Like, okay, this is a passion. Like, no, I like this. Like,
yeah.
I know I had someone share that I think their 13-year-old asked for their birthday. They just wanted to get into stocks. Like they just wanted to open up an account so that they could start trading. And now I think he's like 17, 18. And she said that's what he does. Like he day
Oh,
trades. And I
wow.
was like, yes, like that is so awesome for him to know so early on. That's like it's really cool. I love that. My little ladies have a whole list of things that they want to do right now. Look, they haven't honed in on one
That's
thing,
fun.
but they have a list of things.
Yeah.
So, and performers is one of them. Like they love performing. So, if we were to be in Mississippi. Let us go Mississippi because we are we are leaving today for real.
Okay.
But they would definitely want to check out, Rankin Performing Arts because I heard such great things before you even came from Lisa's son. So tell
Yes.
us more about what you all offer and what y'all do.
Well, I don't think anybody knew going into this exactly what it would become. And I think what we love the most, even last night, we were auditioning these little bitty kids because we have a summer camp coming up where we're doing Peter Pan Jr. And that is for 5 year olds through fifth grade. And watching them audition and just being able to tell them, um, speak just encouragement into these children. You can do hard things. You are capable of this. You don't have to be afraid. We're going to cheer you on no matter what. We're not looking for perfection. um, and just to see in a child a gifting that they don't even realize they have is such an honor to get to be a part of that. I don't see it as a job. I see it as an incredible honor. We have such a the arts tap into such emotional and vulnerable places in a child. I just know how very careful we have to be with the heart of a child because we're writing on their life and who what they believe about themselves just from that first audition. And so we just want to be very careful with that. We're very careful with who we allow to pour into these children because it's not ultimately about the end product of this amazing production. It's about what do they walk away believing about themselves. And that's more important to me. I will stop a rehearsal if I see that a child is getting more caught up in the perfection of a performance than they are in just believing in themselves and trusting their own creativity. I don't think there's a lot of spaces that allow people, that allow especially younger children to explore their own imagination and start to trust these crazy ideas they have. And I love that we can offer that space to them. And so it's way more than just learning to do acting, singing, and dancing, even though that's what we teach. It has become so much more than that. And I knew that because it's what it was for me, but I didn't really expect it to become that was more of our focus. And I'm very thankful for how that has come about.
Yes, because confidence is everything. And
Mhm.
just being able to get on that stage and get in front of people, especially people you don't know, that takes a lot. That takes a lot, young and old. It takes a lot. And so that confidence builder, you getting them to that level, I know that's work in itself.
Oh yes, for sure. I know one young lady did one performance and we had given her a part to sing in the show and we knew we were pushing her, but we knew she was capable. And after her first performance, she was sitting in her car and her mom texted me and said, you may have to do it without her. She's in here and she's trembling. And I walked out and I said, okay, tell me what's going on. She was like, I can't do it. And I said, that's not true. You already did.
Yeah.
And now she's actually in theater in college. And it's just such a
Right.
blessing to see these children become overcomers and to realize I do have something in me that's worth trusting and being allowing myself to be vulnerable and put it out there for people to enjoy. And I do have something worthy of expressing. So yes, it's been amazing to watch. We've had so many experiences where they were just like, I cannot do what you're asking me to do. Even Eric said, I don't see in myself what you see in me. And I was like, that's okay, that we do. And you're gonna shock yourself when you see that, what you're able to bring forth. So
Yeah.
I just love that part of my job. It's my favorite part.
Yeah, talking with Eric was so eye-opening. He's such an intelligent young man. But he was just like, I wish I would have started sooner. That was his whole thing as far as with theater. He's just like, I wish I would have got into it sooner. And I was telling him about an interview I did with a young lady named Journey. She lives in Michigan. And she, from like age 12, started putting on plays like as she was homeschooled. And so she would like direct them, write them, everything. And put them on, and now she continues to do them, and now she sells like her plays, and she already has some like the age range and how you can teach it to that age range and everything else. But I was telling him about that just to say you could start if you want to do something different, or you're aging out. I feel like he said he's aging out of the program. You could start something else, like especially after you told me that he has such a talent. It's like, okay, well, you want to keep going, because I was like, are you going to keep going? He's like, no, this is it. It's like,
No, he has an incredibly creative mind and just a very unique instinct that I actually had not seen anything like that before. And um, I love that. It's so exciting to see that in someone. And I even told him, I was like, why would I lie to you? You can't be a customer after this. And he was like,
right.
oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, you're done. Like, you're done.
I benefit none from lying to you. So that was I don't know. It was fun to watch him have that eye-opening experience where it's like, no, they're not lying to me. They see something in me. And we were very proud of him. He did a great job in the show. It just ended last weekend. So
I do remember y'all talking about that. So that was good. Everything like turned
yeah, it
out well.
was great. It was wonderful. And everybody was in tears when it was over. And
Of
I
course.
love and hate that. I don't like seeing them sad, but I know that that means that they don't want it to end. And I would be so sad if they just were ready for it to be over. So
Right.
yes, we had a great time and we're starting that second camp on Monday. So
Nice. Okay. And that's gonna last until when?
it's a 2 week camp. So they'll do their show the weekend of July. I think it's like 17, 18, some 18, 19, 20, something like that. So
It's
they'll
a
do their
quick turnaround.
sorry.
Just 2 weeks. I said that's a quick turnaround. Just
It
two
is. It's a
weeks.
lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we've done it for several years now, and so typically they're ready. It's a lot of work, but they're exhausted. But
Yeah.
those performances always just bring them such adrenaline and happiness. They are very excited to do it, even though we know we're making the parents and the kids a little bit tired, but it's worth it.
Is it all week? Is Monday through Friday the camp?
Yes. Monday through Friday, and then that second week it is the weekend too. So it is a marathon.
Nice. No, that's good. That's a passion, and I mean, it's a camp, so of course it's gonna be like that.
The games. We're not just all always putting together a show. And with these young ones, we give them some time where we turn on some calming music and we turn down the lights and let them have some downtime. Our older kids have said, "Why don't you do that for us?" And I'm like,
Oh,
I just don't think about it. But yeah, we give them some downtime because we know they need it. But it's not just putting together a show. It's also games and learning to different things, improv, acting, singing, dancing, training them, even just breathing techniques for singing and things like that. So we try to cover all of it in that 2 weeks and not just constantly be running the show, but we do pull the show together in 2 weeks. So it's
nice. Yes. How do families find you all?
Right now, we for this camp we have about 51 students signed up.
Oh, wow.
Um, did you say how would they find us?
How do they find you?
How do they find
How do
us?
they, yeah.
Okay. So usually on Facebook, Instagram,
Okay.
we have a website, rankinperformingarts.com. And then sometimes we get opportunities to go throughout the community and do little miniature performances. And so a lot of times people will find us just by seeing us perform. So yeah.
Okay, nice. The girls got to participate at a library and golf court. Um, I forgot which library it was, but they had like a day of theater for like an hour. It was just an hour.
Oh,
And they did an improv and it was packed in there. Like the amount of kids was like, where did y'all come from? Because we had been in the library all day and there was no kids. And then we went because we stuck around because the young lady, the librarian, had told us that, this performing arts class was going to be at 3 o'clock. And so my oldest wanted to check it out. And so we stuck around the whole time. And I was like, I walked in that room and it was like 40, 50 kids in there. I was like, where did they come from? But it was so cool to see. And they just put them in groups and had them act out colors. They had
oh, I
each
love
group
that.
choose a color. So it was like, improv. And then the gentleman that was leading the class, he like wrote out a story for them, narrated a story as they like acted it out. And it was cute. Real cute. But it was just like it was wild to see. Like I said, there was no kids in that library. It was probably like two or three of them in there at first. So to walk in that room and see how many were there, and I had asked the mom next to me, like, how did you find out about this? Because libraries typically, there are not a lot of people in there, and I always like
Mhm.
fawn over that because libraries are so cool. All the libraries we get to go to all around the country, like they offer so much for families.
Yeah, they do.
Yes. And so it's like, I guess because it's summer and parents are looking for something for the kids to do.
Yeah.
Like, no, before last year or something, and so she knew they had it. Or I don't know. Her answer wasn't too clear for me, but she found it either way. Like all of them have found it. And so it's just cool. And that's why I was just wondering, like, how do people find you? How do they find out about you? So
We try to get our name out there. We've been on the news a couple of times and things like that, but it's hard. I'm like people will say, "Well, we didn't know this existed." I'm like, "How? We're trying so hard." But it is hard to get your name out there, but we're trying to learn different ways to do that, to spread the word because we do believe that um you know you learn so much more from the performing arts than just putting together a show. There's confidence and teamwork and problem solving. I mean, um, if a scene starts to go wrong, you have to be quick to figure out how to fix it. And improv is so great because you don't really have time to second guess yourself, and it's where you start trusting yourself. So I love that about performing arts. It teaches way more than the end result, which is a show. But yes, I wish people understood how much their child would learn from being a part of a performing arts group.
yeah, well, Lee, you're teaching them now. You are teaching them now. Like you will know. Because I think it's cool because our imaginations are so important and it slowly goes away. Like, the older you get, it's like the less you use it. Because
Right.
it's like we learn to be so practical or realistic, as people say. And I'm like the most optimistic person, so I just believe anything could happen at any time. And so it's just like, like I still want to imagine. And then I have these two little people that definitely keep me in the imaginative world because their imagination is grand. They put on plenty of shows by themselves
I love that.
continuously. Yes, but I know, like you said, that the arts are very important. I know
Mhm.
it gets kind of murky in traditional schools. because they want us to do foreign language early. And so it's like we can't partake in the fun electives as we normally did. I know I was looking forward to certain things, and it was harsh reality when I got to eighth grade and they're like, take a foreign language. And I'm like, wait a minute, I still want to do team living and
Yeah.
and what's the little tech and like I want to do the fun stuff, the stuff that only
Right.
lasts a quarter. But it's like, no, you gotta think about college. And so having a program to do outside of the school is nice to be able to access.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love that about their imagination and getting them to trust that. I teach a creative writing course occasionally for our co-op. I guess I'm not going to be teaching it anymore, but one of the things is just I hope your other teachers aren't going to be mad at me, but we're going to put all the rules to the side for a little while because if you think of someone like Dr. Seuss, if he didn't have a word that rhymed, he just made it up. And
Made it up.
so
Yeah.
he had to trust his own imagination quite a bit to do that. And so I'm like, where would we be without some of those works? And you've got to um get to a place where you're okay breaking some of the rules, some of the traditional things, when it comes to writing rules or things like that before where would we be without some of these people having their imagination and trusting it and bringing it to the stage or to the movies or to books. And so I try to balance out the necessity of having the grammar rules and all of those things with saying yes, but let's also give space for imagination and maybe a little bit of rule breaking, just to pull these wonderful works out of your mind. And so I really think that the arts leave space for that, and I think it's necessary. I think we would lose quite a bit of beautiful works if we didn't have the arts. So,
And I think I used to teach creative writing too. And that's what made me realize just like how, because I taught it to high schoolers. And so it's just like, talking to them and seeing where I wasn't in a homeschool setting. I was in a traditional school and it was just like different. It was just like dragging stuff out. Like, come on, just imagine it. Like it could be
right.
whatever you want. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, come on. I'm literally giving you no, like you said, no rules. There's no rules to this. This is your creation. What do you want to put in there? And it's like, how do we get here?
Yeah,
But
I
yeah.
remember my I taught at a preschool and I was walking by a classroom and I heard a teacher, and it's nothing against the teacher. I don't think, she would be upset with me saying this, but just heard when they were coloring, heard her say, "You cannot color that person's hair purple. People don't have purple hair." And I was like, this is art that like some people do, but
First of all, yeah, it's like, where you been?
but also this is art and this is where you can give. I mean, look at Picasso, so I was just like, I got a little bit saddened by that, and I was like, I don't like that even a preschool coloring sheet can really limit a child's imagination if we're trying to make everything fit inside this perfect little box, and that's just not the way we were made, and it's not the way the world works. So I love that
It's
we
like, geez, like they're already having the color inside the line. Now you can't, now they
right.
can't even pick their own colors. That's crazy.
Right.
Yes.
Right. It just made me sad. So I was like, we're going to be very intentional to leave space for purple hair and whatever else, weird
Right.
Dr. Seuss words and whatever else we need to.
Very important. It's very important because that's how your most innovative self is through your imagination. So like I know I tell my girls all the time, like everything starts off as an idea. And all
Mhm.
the like, all the creations that we now have that we utilize, it just started off as someone's idea and they actually came, put it to fruition. But it all starts as an idea. So you have to use some kind of level of imagination, especially when things haven't been created yet. It's like, think about all the kitchen supplies that they have, like, all the different appliances and whatnot that just started off somebody saying, you know what, there's an easier way we could do this. Let me
Right.
create this little egg cracker or egg separator or, whatever it is. And it's like that literally came from somebody's head. And if they hadn't have imagined it because it's not something they saw, then
Mhm.
where would we be? Like still separating eggs by hand. Like, why would you want to do that? Who wants to do that? Like, come on. But yes, no, the arts are very important. So I appreciate all that you are doing. I know that the Mississippi families appreciate all that you all are doing. And I hope that it continues to grow and reach all the families that it needs to reach. Before I let you go, I have two more questions for you.
Okay.
One, after, having homeschooled five children, and pour into all these other babies that you are mentoring and guiding up through the Rankin Performing Arts School. How do you self-care? How do you take care and make sure that Leigh is good?
I could do better at that. I'm learning to do better at that. I haven't always even had that on my radar, but I will say that I have an incredibly supportive friend group and an incredibly supportive family. And so they are insistent that I pause. Even right now, I'm in a hotel room. My my second oldest son was like, I want you to take a break. And my he said, I want you and dad to take a break because we had an anniversary and I was at camp. And my husband's birthday was this week. And he was like, I just want y'all to take a breather. And so I think raising up children who see it as important, so they do need to see it in us, and I could have done better at that, and I was intentional to tell them I need to do better at this. But they have very compassionate hearts and have been such a wonderful support. We have made sure that they understand how important family is and a supportive family is. um, and like I said, just also surrounding yourself with a community of supportive people will help, um, the people that are willing to say, "Hey, you need to pause and take care of yourself. It's okay." And that has been such a blessing because really just hearing that a lot lately, I'm making it a priority just because of how many people have been telling me, "Hey, you need to prioritize this." And so, I don't know. I guess that has been my lesson in the past few years has been I don't know if I could do it without my community. So supportive people.
Supportive people.
Mhm.
Yes. I love that. So your son said, hey, y'all need to go and chill out. Okay. Because
Right.
you keep on going. Y'all not recognizing these holidays that y'all don't came behind. Go relax and celebrate each other. I love that. And that's beautiful. And that's beautiful that you, like you say, you took the time to put that in them,
Mm.
to recognize and support family. Because he could be out in his own little, young adult world, not thinking about y'all. And that's awesome. Okay. So last thing, if there if parents didn't hear anything else that you said this whole time, three things that you want to leave with them with, like three things you would like to make sure that they, hey, get this.
I would say um, train up your children in the way they are bent is in it, that's a Bible verse, but it's also um, watch for that natural gifting in your child and to to allow them to go down that path a little deeper, and then where maybe they have something that's not a strength, don't just drop the ball on that, because they're going to have to do things in life that don't involve their strength. And so they need to know, like I said, they can do hard things. Um, because some people, I've noticed people go too far one way or the other. So I would say if it's easy to them, yes, let them dive deep, but don't drop the hard things. They need to know how to do hard things. Um, I would say that. I would say the advice that was given to me, homeschool doesn't look like school. And sometimes you do need to sit down and have time to have instruction, but you also need to do a lot of hands-on experience. To me, they learn better when it's either experience or the instruction backed up with experience. I mean, really, honestly, during the experience, you are giving instructions. So, um, I I would say a lot of adventure, a lot of a lot of finding a balance between the structure and the spontaneous, um, because life is both, and we're supposed to be training up adults. And so I want them to know how to thrive in both atmospheres. Um, and I guess that's the other thing, is just to remember we're training up adults, and to create situations and say, what would this look like if this was an adult that I was dealing with, and how would they need to um, know how to behave in this situation, or how would they need to know how to handle the situation. So I guess I always spent their childhood going, if this, let's say this behavior was allowed to continue, how would this look as an adult, and do I need to train it into what is eventually going to be them needing to have a job, or them needing to have a spouse, or them needing to be a parent, and always having that in mind when dealing with a behavior issue, or anything like that. Just letting them know how to handle disappointment, letting them know how to handle communication. I think homeschooled children are excellent communicators, because they are dealing with people of all ages, and they just learn how to handle all types of situations. And so allowing those spaces and those times, and always keeping in mind I'm raising an adult. So but letting them be a kid while while having that mindset.
The
So
balance, the balance.
yes, absolutely.
Yes, no, those are great words, great words. Thank you. Thank you for that. Because you are a veteran. Look, you're a veteran homeschooler at this point. So you are definitely words of wisdom for us. So thank you. Thank you. I receive it all. Parents, don't neglect that imagination. Don't neglect that creative side of your child. Definitely. I know everyone doesn't live in Mississippi, but wherever you are, find, that outlet for your child. Find that,
Mhm.
that creative expression space for your child. And if they don't have it, you create it. I'm always pushing that avenue. If you don't see it, you create it because someone else is looking for it too. But always remember